Hello everybody, this is Tip Top MTG here today with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, we are going to be looking at some awesome Modern Horizons 2 news, and there is a lot of it. But there's not just Modern Horizons 2 news. There was a pretty big event where they announced a ton of stuff, and so today I'm going to be covering all of it. However, I'm going to be doing them in separate videos because while you might care about Modern Horizons 2, you might not care about Adventures in the Forgotten Realms or Secret Layers or any of that. So we're going to be kind of breaking them down. So check out my channel and subscribe so you can see the videos that are coming a little bit later. Either way, let's just jump into this. We have a lot of news. Starting off, we are going to be looking at the packaging. Here are two of the things. We have the bundle and the kind of draft booster box. Now, first off, the character on the front, I know people are recognizing him as something, as a returning character. So if you know what that is, leave it in the comments down below. But another thing you can note is that if you zoom in here, you can see three people, and I'm not able to make out who these characters are. But again, if you recognize any of them, leave those in the comments down below. I can like heart or pin your comment, and that can be kind of fun. But this next set, I have a little bit more to talk about. So these are the set boosters and the collector boosters. On the left, we have the set booster, which I think is very obviously a squirrel and probably a legendary one. They don't often just put vanilla creatures on the fronts of packages. And so people are thinking it's going to be one of the uncards brought in, but I think it's just going to be a new legendary squirrel that will probably have something to do with being able to beat Emrakul. If I had to guess, it's going to be some card that creates a number of squirrels equal to the power of another or the toughness of another creature, then they fight, or something along those lines. You can have a squirrel take down Emrakul, something like that. But what I think is more interesting over here is the collector boosters, which you won't often hear me say, but the art looks very similar to Ikoria. And let me pull up an Ikoria card right here. You'll notice that it has a lot of the same styling, in terms of like, it's very poppy, like almost movie poster art, and we can see that there. So that makes me think that Mutate might see a return, and that could be really interesting. If you take Modern Horizons, 1, they did a lot of wacky stuff, and from the spoilers, because we do have spoilers that we've seen today, it looks like they're continuing with that. So what I do want to point out is that there was one card from Ikoria, Godzilla King of the Monsters, that, this was part of their Godzilla series of cards that they took kind of existing cards and skinned them with different names and all of that. And so you'll notice it says Zilortha Strength Incarnate, but we never actually got that card. The only version of this card that exists is Godzilla King of the Monsters, meaning I think it's highly possible that Zilortha Strength Incarnate, which is literally just this card with a different name, can be found in Modern Horizons 2. That might be considered lame, but we technically don't know what this creature looks like. It would make sense that the collector booster would have alternate art of it that looks kind of like a Zilortha. So that'll be interesting to see, but I do want to note that we do not have a Zilortha, and they said, oh yeah, that could be printed in the future. But would Modern Horizons be the place to do that? Probably not. Maybe we wouldn't see this exact card, but maybe a different version of Zilortha. I don't know though, because they also probably wouldn't just go back to the Ikoria showcase frame for one card. So maybe this is just the style they're going for with Modern Horizons 2. Next, let's talk about Fetchlands. They revealed that these 5 Fetchlands were going to be in the main set a little while back, but now they've revealed a little bit more. So there is actually a couple versions of them. So in the collector boosters, it is actually possible to get these extended art versions, which I think look pretty cool. And what I think more people are going to be excited for is the fact that you can actually get the kind of old framed ones from Time Spiral. And actually, these are returning from more than just the Fetchlands. They're going to be found in cards throughout Modern Horizons, which I find to be a little weird. Time Spiral Remastered, it makes perfect sense. It was a set printed in that style, not maybe in that style, but it's a set based on going back in time. Modern Horizons 2 is literally about a format called Modern, and outside of a few cards that were reprinted with the Modern frame in Time Spiral Remastered that happen to be Modern legal, they don't really have this frame in Modern. So it's a little bit of a weird inclusion, but it will be on Fetchlands and a couple other cards. They say it'll be on both new and reprinted cards. A couple other things. There is going to be a slot within the booster for cards that are new to Modern with the old frame. So, like, there will be a slot in the booster, and it won't, by the way, always have the old frame. I'm just saying you can get it there. But one of the slots of a, like, draft booster will be a card that is not new, that is instead a reprint, which means we are going to get a higher quantity of reprints that are new to Modern. Because for those of you who don't know how Modern Horizons 2 works, it's a set that goes straight into Modern legality. So it's almost like if they made a standard set, but made it not affect Standard. And what it does is it goes straight into legality, and so they print a lot of new cards, but they also sometimes reprint ones that aren't in Modern, but are now in Modern as soon as they're printed in this set. For instance, the Fetchlands are not an example of that. They are already in Modern, and so it's like a mix. They have some reprints that are not new to Modern, some that are new to Modern, and some new cards. And a combination of all of those will have the old frame. They've made this very complicated, and I'm trying to explain it the best I can. Either way, let's talk about some new cards. So this is Brainstone. It's a 1-cost artifact. You can pay 2 and tap it to sacrifice it to draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand, on top of your library in any order. So it's essentially a Brainstorm for 3 mana, but colorless. And honestly, I don't know if necessarily every deck is going to want this. I mean, I don't think a lot of decks are going to want this, but the fact that it's colorless opens it up to a number of decks, and I think there are going to be a decent amount of commander decks that maybe care about the top of their library but can't run cards like Brainstorm that could really like this. So I think this will be a pretty interesting card in Commander for those decks that care about the top of their library but don't have as many tools as Blue does to manipulate it. Then we have Sanctum Prelate. So this is a reprinted card, if I'm not mistaken, and it is going to be the buy box promo. So the buy box promo will have the old frame. It's a 3-cost creature, human cleric 2/2, and it when it enters the battlefield, you choose a number. And then it says non-creature spells with mana value equal to the chosen number can't be cast. So pretty powerful card here. I don't know necessarily how it'll affect Modern. When I'm looking at this set, I'm mostly looking at it from a commander perspective, as from what I've primarily been able to gather, it is people's main formats, unlike Modern, and I also don't play Modern that much, so yeah, this seems like a pretty good card, pretty awesome to see it in the old frame. It almost seems natural with the artwork there. Next, we have Diamond Lion. So this is a 2-cost artifact creature cat 2/2, and you can tap it and discard your hand to sacrifice it. And if you do that, you add 3 mana of any one color, activate only as an instant. So this is Lion's Eye Diamond, but as a Diamond Lion. Get it? Lion Eyes Diamond Lion. This has been admitted to be one of the most broken cards in Magic. It lets you discard your hand, which can oftentimes be an upside. However, it is kind of balanced by the fact that it's a lot harder to loop because it requires you to tap it to do it, and it's a creature. Unless it enters with haste, you can't really do any loopy nonsense with it. And so because of that, it seems a lot more balanced. Also, it means that it has to go a turn around the table before anything can be done. However, it is a very powerful effect and something that you should watch out for. Then we have Counterspell. Yes, it has been confirmed Counterspell is now legal in Modern. Pretty awesome to see a reprinting of it, and from what I've heard, Modern can use it. Because they knew this would be a big spell, they are offering a full art version, which I think might take the rare slot, which, I don't know, this will probably be an expensive card, but Counterspell has a lot of variants, so I don't actually know how much this will end up going for, but note, this does exist. Next, we have Urzos Saga, and this is a really weird card, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. So, it is an enchantment land, Urzos Saga. So, Urzos is a land type found on Urzos Tower, Urzos Mine, and Urzos Power Plant. It is now found on Urzos Saga. So, what's weird is it's a land. But being a land doesn't give you any abilities necessarily, other than the fact that you play it for no mana. Like, this has no mana cost. You play it as a land drop. But what happens is, essentially, it gains tap Atom colorless as soon as it enters the battlefield. Now, what's interesting about that is it doesn't say until end of turn. So as long as this is on the battlefield, it counts as a land. And then it'll go through all of its phases, and then after step 3, you sacrifice it. So essentially, it's a land that sticks around for 3 turns that also gives you other abilities. So what is the other things it does? First off, it counts as an enchantment. So if you have a deck that cares about the number of enchantments you have, pretty awesome way to up that. But then it says Urzos Saga gains pay 2, tap, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. We've had Urza create those in the past, I believe in the previous Modern Horizon set, along with, I believe, a card from the previous Commander set, like Commander 2021, as well as Karn from Dominaria creates this token. But you'll notice, again, it's giving it the ability, not until end of turn, but forever. So now you have to think, oh, do I want to, spend this mana to create the creature, or do I want it as a land? And then it says search your library for an artifact card with mana cost 0 or 1, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Honestly, this seems like a pretty good card. I mean, in Commander, I think this is included in a lot of decks. Here's the play pattern, right? You play it, and it, at its worst, is tapping for colorless. Then, essentially what you do is you go get yourself a Soul Ring. So it's a land that taps for colorless, and then 2 turns later, gets you a Soul Ring. So I think in Commander, this is going to be a land that a lot of people run. Of course, it can be targeted by enchantment removal, which you do run the risk of. But the fact that it has the versatility of creating that creature, it doesn't have to go get a Soul Ring. If you need some other 1-drop artifact, go for it. If you need a Mana Crypt, go for it. A lot of the most broken cards in the game are at these low mana values. And so I think that it will be powerful and popular. Honestly, I didn't read the bottom text of this card because I was just trying to figure out the first parts of it. But I was going to say, oh, it's okay, but you really need to be in the right kind of deck. I disagree. Honestly, any deck can run this, assuming you're not too restricted on the colors of mana you play. But even then, worst case scenario, you are 2 turns delayed, and then you go get like something that can get you some colored mana. But seems really, really good. It seems especially good because in, Commander, and I don't know necessarily how good there is. There's that one Lotus that has Suspend. This gets around Suspend card. If there's an artifact that has Suspend, you can put it straight onto the battlefield, assuming it doesn't have a mana value. And so, pretty powerful card and pretty crazy. It gets me excited to see what the rest of Modern Horizons really has to offer. And it also has a variant called a sketch, which is supposed to represent what the card looked like when it was still in development. Of course, it is all fabricated here, but they also said instead of flavor text, there will be art descriptions that they gave the artist, which I thought was kind of cool. So yeah, pretty awesome variant. So what I want to talk about here is the variants. We have had it revealed that we're going to have borderless cards, extended cards, sketch cards, and old border cards on top of normal cards. And they technically could, announce something else. So I think it will be interesting to see if they do more of these, more styles, but we have a lot happening in Modern Horizons. We already have it confirmed that there are collector boosters based on, the packaging that we saw there. I actually like all of these styles outside of maybe the old cards. It's not nostalgic to me at all, but I think that it is fine because generally this lowers the prices of cards because if a fancy version of this card gets opened a lot, it's going to bring down the price of the normal one. Either way, that is pretty interesting. In terms of dates, Modern Horizons did get delayed 1 week, so keep that in mind. It is literally messing up everything in my schedule, but we'll make it work. So yeah, that is it for the Modern Horizons 2 announcements. Let me just quickly look through my notes to make sure that they didn't announce anything that I didn't talk about. Nope, that is everything. So yeah, that is everything for Modern Horizons 2. My next video is going to be a video covering Forgotten Realms, where we got a ton of spoilers, some information about some cards. We got a mythic, a 5-color legendary actually, and so we're going to talk about all of that in a separate video, so hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when it comes out. It will be coming out later today. We also have some news about Secret Lairs, which I may or may not make a video on, and some huge Magic the Gathering news, or MTG Arena, maybe not huge, some pretty big Magic the Gathering Arena news, including news on Historic Anthology 5. Either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.